I don't know if you've noticed, but in the past few years, affirmations, especially in the classroom, have been popping up kind of everywhere. And I don't know if you've asked yourself, I know I definitely have, but I've just been kind of wondering, what are affirmations and how are people using these in their classroom? And so that's what we are going to talk about today, is we are going to talk about affirmations in the classroom. And I'm going to be answering some questions like, what are they? How do you use them? And why should we use them? So let's go ahead and get started. I would love if you would just take a moment real quick to subscribe below. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers this year, and go ahead and like your video while we're at it. And let's go ahead and get started. First up, we're going to talk about, so what is an affirmation? So basically an affirmation is just a statement. You can either say it out loud, or as you transition, older students, adults, you're going to say those things in your mind. So they're kind of just like become that inner dialogue, that self-talk that you tell yourself. It's not always your first initial thought, right? Like sometimes your initial thought might be like, this is too hard, I can't do this. And usually you have some affirmations built up that you say no, and in your mind you're saying, I'm capable, I can do this, I can do hard things. It can sometimes even be like a quote that you've taught yourself, get yourself out of that little hard spot and kind of like a pep talk for yourself. And so that's what affirmations are. Most of the ones that we use in the classroom are a little bit more simple. So things like, I am a leader, I'm creative, I'm wonderful. So things like that we want our students to strive to be like. We want our students to strive to be a leader. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this later. But basically, you also want your affirmations to not just be something that you make the kids say, but you also want them to say affirmations that they personally believe. Because it's not going to quite work if you tell yourself, like, if I were to say, like, I am creative, but if I don't believe that I'm creative, then that affirmation is not really going to work for me. And so we are going to discuss that later. So basically these affirmations, they're positive thoughts, and they're kind of just like a way to retrain our brain and get away from our negative thoughts and turn them into positive. So as you can see, they would be gold in the classroom to use some things like that. So you might be asking yourself, okay, so we just kind of talked about it, but like, why should we use these? And we want to use them because we want our students to practice self-love. We want our students to gain confidence, especially in themselves, and to help them create that inner dialogue of being able to talk themselves up when they need it. And so using affirmations is going to help them do that. Okay, so you might be saying, okay, these affirmations are great, I want to use them. How do I do that? What's the next steps? The first and most simple step is that you're going to want to put them into your schedule. So you need to pick a time of day that works for you. I really love like first thing in the morning. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos that are really fun. So one is like an alphabet affirmations that's just playing as your kids are like coming in. So they're just like hearing them. Now, this isn't me like making them say like, I am amazing, I am beautiful, I am capable. You can do that to kind of give them some words, especially as they're the younger students. You're giving them words that later, as they learn more about what those words mean and about themselves, they'll say the ones that are really just directed towards them. I've also seen some like seasonal ones, which are really fun. So you could always do that. Then you could also, just basically like a dedicated time for kids to focus on those affirmations. So another thing that you can do with them is that you can have them around your classroom as reminders. Things like posters. Here's a little Valentine's Day poster that you could have hanging. Or some people have small ones like this around a mirror. And what they have the students do is they have the students look into the mirror and pick the ones that they want to say to themselves as they're looking at themselves, which is really great. Another thing that I saw that I really like is picking a day to display an affirmation. So maybe you just put up a word like leader, and the students are going to write about this. So you could do it weekly or you could do it daily. I think that it might be better, personally, I think that it might be a lot to do like every single day. So I would pick one day a week. You put up the word and the kids are going to write, okay, what is a leader? And then they're going to write if they think that they're a leader or not, and why, and how they could maybe become better in that if they would like to be. The reason why I really love this writing activity is because you can use that. And so the next step is that you are, as a teacher, as one of their inner voices, are going to affirm them in the classroom. And really, you want to pick things that they don't see in themselves. One of your students doesn't see themselves as smart. And so you want to change that inner dialogue for them. And so you're going to pick this affirmation, and whenever you see them displaying actions that go towards that, you're going to affirm them. So you're going to say, wow, you're so creative and smart. I love the way that you solve this problem differently than everyone else. You know, it takes a lot of courage to do something different. And right there, I've just given them 3 different affirmations: that they were smart, that they're capable, creative, brave. And as you're giving them that inner dialogue, eventually, if you come back around to those words, when you come back around to that word, then they might start to hopefully see themselves as that and pick one of those words and start believing that about themselves. Anytime that a student displays one of these affirmations too, is always a great time to use it as a moment to celebrate in your classroom. All right, guys, I have linked for you below some of the resources that I talked about in this video, so you can find things like a poster, or if you want to use the little cards to go around a mirror, or some of those videos that I talked about. I will link all of those in the description for you. And I will see you guys next Sunday.